When we master our attention, it can indeed last for hours. So if we talk about the dhyanas, there are five factors of consciousness that arise when engaging in any concentration. And you constantly direct the mind, and if it gets distracted, you direct it back. And so you are constantly in the process of redirecting the mind and struggling with redirecting the mind. If the flashlight moves chaotically, it illuminates everything in its path, holding on to nothing properly. But if the beam stops and is directed at one point, certainty appears. And this movement of directing the mind is as if you're a sniper and you've aimed your mind at a target. And Piti is usually translated as rapture or a joyful uplift. It's a kind of vital energy that arises simply because the mind has ceased to be fragmented and has become one-pointed and focused. Any state of mental focus brings joy. So if we talk about the dhyanas, there are five factors: Vitarka, Vichara, Piti, Sukha, and Ekagrata. And what are they? These five factors are five factors of consciousness that arise when engaging in any concentration. If these five factors are present, your dhyana will be successful. Without these five factors, dhyana is difficult to achieve. So Vitarka is the initial direction of the mind toward an object. When you, for example, sit before a candle flame or a point, and you direct your mind to the object, and it is this moment of your direction and holding it. And you constantly direct the mind, and if it gets distracted, you direct it back. That is Vitarka. Vichara means you don't just direct the mind to the object, even if it's distracted, but it's holding the mind on the object when you hold the object. You no longer need to redirect it, but you've grasped the object and are holding it. Now, at the Vitarka stage, you direct the mind to the object, but it wanders off. For example, you concentrate on the form of a deity, but it wanders. You direct it again, or on a point, or on a candle flame. And so you are constantly in the process of redirecting the mind and struggling with redirecting the mind. Well, we're not talking about when you've fallen asleep altogether, in lethargy, in drifting. But when you want to honestly, as it were, practice dhyana and direct the mind to the object. But vichara is when you are already holding your mind on the object, it doesn't get distracted. It is believed that dhyana is a state where Mara is blindfolded. Mara is an obstacle. And whenever a yogi practices, Mara always practices right along with him. And the yogi practices dhyana, while Mara practices distraction. And distractions have come. That is Mara. That's how you should think. A worldly desire has come. That is Mara. Sleep has come during meditation. That is Mara. Anger has come because, the neighbor is making noise, and you need to sit quietly. That is Mara. Any distraction is Mara. And so the yogi practices dhyana, and Mara also practices his own thing. But when the factors of dhyana arise, Mara is silent, and Mara's hands and eyes are tied. He can't do anything to the yogi. And so the vichara stage is holding the mind on the object. Already, Mara begins to be bound, because you have grasped the object and are holding it. And then, when Mara is bound, Piti comes. This is rapture, or a joyful uplift from nowhere. And when you remain for a long time in these factors, Vitarka, Vichara, and Piti, happiness arises, well-being, such a pleasant inner satisfaction from meditation. And so all these four previous factors, they provide such one-pointedness, composure. This is called Ekagrata. The mind becomes very composed, whole, one-pointed, and you can meditate for a long time. So, to break it down in more detail, the first factor, Vitarka, is the moment when the mind enters the object. It doesn't just notice it in passing, but actually moves toward it. If in ordinary life our mind is rarely focused, undisciplined, it's jumping around all the time. And even if we try to sit in silence in meditation, inside us there's, well, a whole stream. Memories, plans, what needs to be done for seva, some evaluations, internal dialogues, what we didn't finish saying to others. Often for an inexperienced meditator, sitting is talking to oneself, everything they wanted to say to a neighbor, parents, or the world. And that's called mahashanti. Of course, that's not mahashanti. Mahashanti will be when there is dhyana. Before that, it's meditation along with mara, because of the distraction. Or there's also sleepiness. So when the first is agitation and sleepiness, lethargy, that's called drifting. Dialogues, anxieties, random images. The mind almost never stays on one thing. It breaks into many movements. And so Vitarka is the first break in this state, when the mind stops wandering chaotically and is directed toward one object. This can be compared to a flashlight beam. If the flashlight moves chaotically, it illuminates everything in its path, holding on to nothing properly. But if the beam stops and is directed at one point, certainty appears. And this movement of directing the mind is as if you're a sniper and you've aimed your mind at a target. It could be a seed syllable, the form of Dattatreya, or a picture of a seed syllable, the form of Dattatreya, a kashina, a dot, a candle flame, or the four infinites. These are our main objects for dhyana and dharana. And this movement of directing, like a sniper taking aim. This is what Vitarka is. When the beam of attention stops and is directed at one point and certainty appears, it means we are controlling our attention. And this is not reasoning about the object, not analysis, not internal commentary, but specifically the turning of consciousness toward the object. And the second factor is Vichara. Direction alone is not enough, because the mind can direct itself and then immediately slip back. And the second factor, Vichara, is residing. If Vitarka is the entry into the object, then Vichara is the residing. The mind doesn't just touch the object, it stays with it. And it didn't just direct itself, it held on. For example, if you're looking at a candle flame, Vitarka is the moment when you shifted your attention to the flame. And not just shifted your eyes, but your entire attention. Because sometimes we look at the flame, but our attention drifts away. The eyes are looking, but the mind is elsewhere. But we've shifted our eyes, our mind, and all our attention. Then Vichara is when the attention stays with that flame and doesn't run off to the side. It's as if we've grasped the flame of a candle and we're holding it, not letting go. No thoughts, no images, no mental constructs. Or we've grasped a point, grasped the image of a seed syllable, and we're holding it. That is Vichara. To use music as an example, so consider this. The initial moment of listening is Vitarka. But when we keep listening, without drifting off into our own thoughts after a while, that is Vichara. Ancient texts also use the metaphor of a bell. The strike is like the initial contact, while the bell's lingering resonance is like the holding. So Vichara isn't a strained holding, but a sustained connection. There's a link between you and the object of focus. Thus, in dhyana, attention is not only directed, but also steady. Consciousness ceases to be fragmented. It begins to remain within a single field. That's why Vitarka and Vichara are always understood as a pair. Vitarka, as a factor, places the mind on a single object, while Vichara allows the mind to stay there. Why are they so important? Because they mark the start of an internal breakthrough in concentration and meditative practice. If the mind can't enter an object and remain within it, further progress is simply impossible. Meditation will then be either chaotic or just random flashes of peace that quickly dissipate. But our goal is the state of dhyana, which can last for hours. When we master our attention, it can indeed last for hours. And we have monks who have attained the 4th, 5th, and 6th dhyanas, experienced practitioners who can remain for hours, even days, without leaving their seat, without eating or even using the restroom. There have been such instances in practice, and that is very precious. Those who can suspend their breath in dhyana, sitting motionless, not just in body, but in mind as well. And so, these first 2 factors are the foundation, like the foundation of a house. And the 3rd factor is piti. Piti occurs when the mind begins to unify. Thanks to the first 2 factors, not only stability is born, but joy as well. You feel how wonderful it is to have one-pointedness. When Mara doesn't disturb you, there are no distractions, and you hold the mind on the object, and the whole universe becomes an object of meditation. You can remain motionless in that one-pointedness. This isn't a worldly joy, but an internal, meditative one. And piti is usually translated as rapture or a joyful uplift. It's a kind of vital energy that arises simply because the mind has ceased to be fragmented and has become one-pointed and focused. Any state of mental focus brings joy. So if you experience joy every time during Mahashanti, it means you've succeeded in focusing your mind. And if you go to Mahashanti thinking, again, this struggle with tamas, with sleep, with back pain, with some thoughts, with chaos, and you sit for an hour and struggle, everything passes in struggle. No joy, no one-pointedness. This is a reason to think about how to adjust my dharana dhyana, how to experience these meditative factors. One Tibetan practitioner wrote, "I'm ready to drink and have fun all night, but when I approach the meditation mat, I feel, a sense of aversion arises." Because it's not that simple. If we have interfering karmas, obstacles, we literally have to overcome ourselves, force ourselves to sit, to reach a calm state, to achieve one-pointedness, to experience the ordinary joy that is inherent in the first dhyana. Simply from composure, from concentration of the mind. But this is the discipline of yoga. This is asceticism. Now, imagine a person who lived in noise for a long time, in tension, mental distraction, and then felt that inside him, finally, it's quiet. Finally, it's whole. And he is joyful. And he has this feeling of inner uplift, of revitalization appearing. He feels, this is it. This is the right thing. This is alive. This is what's real in me. And from here, joy arises. But this is not sensual joy, but joy from the very gathering of consciousness inward. It's as if, after many years of distraction, a person found an inner support, and it's very clear. And in this clarification, there is rapture. But piti is not yet peace. There is movement in it, a wave, an uplift. Question?
I just wanted to ask about piti, what it is.
Well, that's exactly what we're discussing. It's the joy of the composure of consciousness. And the 4th factor is sukha. Sukha is an even more subtle factor, the last one. If piti is a joyful uplift, then sukha is the happiness of abiding. So rapture arose from composure, an uplift. But sukha is no longer a flash, but such a steady well-being, such a smooth, warm presence. A deep inner wellness. You sit like this, and it's good. You just sit and sit some more. Piti is the joy of the mind entering the right state, and sukha is the happiness of the mind already abiding in that state. It's like a traveler who walked in the heat for a long time and finally saw water in the desert, and he thinks, oh, water, salvation. He feels rapture. That's piti. But when he's already drunk his fill, cooled down, sat in the shade, and feels such relief in the shade of the trees, that's closer to Sukha. And these factors in the classical theory of dhyana are very distinct. If we have all of these factors, Vitarka, Vichara, Piti, Sukha, then we earn the right to the fifth factor, Ekagrata or Ekagrata. And here we experience a holistic state of mind, when the mind stops being pulled apart. And the happiness we experience is a result of the inner orderliness of consciousness. Our attention has become orderly. As for Piti and Sukha, Piti is joyful energy. Now, who has joyful energy in meditation? That's good, many of you. And Sukha is happy stability. Who has happy stability? You have it too. Good. And both are needed to understand the factors of dhyana, and specifically the first dhyana. Finally, the fifth factor is Ekagrata, or Ekagrata. It is usually translated as one-pointedness, single-mindedness, or focus. This means the mind stops splitting into many lines or branches due to distraction, drifting, lethargy, or agitation, and becomes very one-pointed. And people who train in Ekagrata, in dhyana, you can tell them apart. They have such a concentrated mind, a keen gaze. It's very precise, very clear, without any distractions. They know how to concentrate.